This was my first through hike. I've actually been backpacking for 30 years, and this was my first actual through hike, and it was grueling. What do you think?
It was pretty tough.
So we hiked 30 plus miles with
Yes.
25-pound backpacks.
Yes.
In 3 days. If you've ever hiked Skyline-to-the-Sea trail, let us know in the comments below, and let us know what your experience is on the trail.
It's amazing that this little gem, the Skyline-to-the-Sea trail, is nestled in the bustling Bay Area less than 60 miles from the busy city of San Francisco and near the heart of Silicon Valley. Our friends, Rich and Deb, made the reservations to get permits 2 months before the trip date. The previous day, we had dropped a car off in the parking lot near Waddell Beach, the endpoint of the trail. The first leg of the trip, Castle Rock State Park to Waterman Gap, is 9.3 miles. This section traveled primarily next to the road, although we could not see the road. The trail was confusing and not well marked. Sadly, we went the wrong way several times. If you go, be sure to bring a GPS or a well-marked map so that you don't get off track. This section was a lovely rolling trail with not too much climbing. Because this wilderness area is so close to civilization, road noise could be heard from the trail. We also heard noise from the nearby shooting gallery. On the flip side, in the event of an injury, we knew we were close to help.
We're hiking along the trail, and I hear Doug say something in the background. What did you say? He was behind me.
I said, keep going straight.
I heard there's a rattlesnake ahead of you. So I don't know how we miscommunicated on that. So I stopped dead in my tracks, even though I could hear that rattlesnake just to the right of me. But you know how you get confusing information and you're not really sure what to do? Well, actually, I think what happened was I walked by and I woke him up. And that rattlesnake was right by the trail. Maybe how far?
Its head was right next to the trail.
Its head was right.
And it was coiled up.
It was coiled up, and it was right by my feet. I walked right by it.
And this was a single track trail.
One thing we liked about the Waterman Gap campground is that it's only accessible by foot and is a backpacker-only campground. Because of this, we were not surrounded by loud people partying at all hours. Campfires are not allowed at this campground, but there are plenty of stumps to use as chairs and benches to sit together and enjoy our meal.
The Waterman Gap site we were in, I think it was site number 5, was somewhat secluded, but it was a longer walk to the water faucet and the long drop toilet.
Yeah, and it wasn't very level. That was the other thing about the tent site that we had, was not very level.
Yes, none of the sites were super level. They were level enough to set up a tent, but you'd wake up in the middle of the night and your sleeping bag would be down at the end of the tent.
Yeah, we were sliding.
That night, we had spaghetti with meat sauce that we had dehydrated for the trip.
The first campground, Waterman,
had a long drop.
A long drop. A long drop, which is a pit toilet if you're in the US.
Be sure to pack in your own toilet paper as it is not supplied year-round. A spigot provides tap water.
Waterman Gap had water, but I think maybe because it hadn't been used in a while, it was discolored and rusty for the first day as it was coming out. We had to filter it to clean it, but then the next day it was really clear.
Yes, but I'm sure it was potable. but it just didn't look very appetizing.
The second leg of our journey, Waterman Gap to J Camp at Big Basin headquarters, is 11.9 miles and is, in my opinion, the most grueling leg of the journey.
There was one day that we were both saying, I don't know if I want to really do this right now.
We were both considering options for an Uber ride
We were.
on the second day.
It was pretty tough. That day it was really tough because the trail was completely wet. It was muddy.
It was slippery. It was hard to come downhill. It took a lot more wear and tear on the knees and joints.
There was granite that was just slick, really slick granite, and I went down on my butt. I just did the whole thing down on my butt because I didn't want to fall. I was really worried about falling and breaking something.
So we were all our clothes and our hat and backpacks were all damp.
Everything was wet. The tent was wet. We put away a wet tent. It was the best thing actually when you were there, where you were thinking, this is the best thing.
The nice scenery and nice shaded, heavily wooded areas. There wasn't much exposure to the direct sunlight.
Yeah, one of the guys there said, when it was raining that day, he said, this is the rainforest, and it is. It's amazingly beautiful, and it is a rainforest.
And we could have had distant views of the ocean, except for that it was overcast.
Oh, I didn't even realize that until now. Big Basin, it was crowded. There were a lot of people there, but the thing about Big Basin was they had a store there, and they had cold drinks, and they had ice cream, and that's something that we're not used to having on our backpacking trips because we're usually out in the absolute middle of nowhere, so where you can't get a cold drink or ice cream or a bottle of wine. We had a bottle of wine. That was really nice. The second one had flush toilets and showers. Hot showers. And were they hot?
They were too hot.
They were freaking hot. Yeah. But I was glad to have a shower. How about you?
I was.
Yeah.
I think you were glad that I had a shower.
I was glad. I mean, I wish that we could have washed our clothes too, but yeah, I was glad that we both had a shower. That was really nice. And when we were in Big Basin at J Camp, we were able to have a campfire, which was really nice because it was such a cold day. And
we purchased the wood at the store in Big Basin, so we didn't actually carry it.
Yeah, we had wood for a fire. That was really nice that night.
And we stayed in the bicycle-only camp because it was empty. Because that was the only one big enough to fit 6 tents and had a fire pit.
Yeah.
Not sure why the backpacker camps don't have a fire pit and the bicycle camps do.
Oh, that's not fair. The side of J Camp was very level. I thought it was very level, except for there's a picnic table in J Camp too. So a fire pit and a picnic table. Both sides had lockers, food storage lockers.
Bear lockers.
The last leg of the trip, J Camp to Waddell Beach, is 13.3 miles for a total mileage of 34.4 miles. The trail was a well-defined gradual descent with a manicured trail surface. Aside from several downed trees.
There were several downed trees, one of which we had to climb completely over.
Yes, this wasn't a little tree. It was a trunk that when you walked up to it was probably about chest level.
Doug had to boost me over. Everything was beautiful on the trail, but Berry Creek Falls was really more amazing than I could have imagined. It's a sizable waterfall, wouldn't you say?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Some of the trail was maintained. Some of it, looked like they were behind schedule on maintenance, probably because of the weather.
A couple years behind schedule, I would say. There's a section of the trail that was completely washed out that had been like that last year. The best thing about the whole trip for me was that we got to experience it with some really wonderful friends, and I'm so thankful to Deb and Rich for planning the trip, and also to Rick and Vicki for coming along the trip with us. It was a really great experience.
And driving us there.
And driving us there. They planned the cars and did all that stuff, so that was really wonderful, and we're grateful.